One thing every successful individual, leader, and entrepreneur have in common is a consistent morning routine. Having a simple, easy to implement routine enables you to start your day with a sense of purpose, accomplishment, clarity, and direction. For this reason, I have prepared for you a free guide with an easy to follow 5 minutes morning routine and a tracking template where you can document your progress day by day. I've been receiving messages from some of you already telling me how this habit has transformed your days for the better. Download this 5 minutes morning routine right now by clicking the link on my show notes so you can start your day on purpose. Welcome to another episode of With Clarity and Purpose, and today we are gonna be talking about goal setting. This will be published. I'm recording this in September, but it will be published in October probably. So we are getting close to the end of this year, 2022, and I know a lot of you are already thinking about goal setting. By the way, goal setting is something you can do at any time during the year. You don't have to wait until December. A lot of times I do it from April to April, but it depends. This time I'm gonna do it in December. But again, there is no right or wrong way when it comes to goal setting. Today, I'm gonna be talking about the one thing you may be missing from your goal setting steps, and that one thing is a huge enabler for you to be able to follow through with any goals you set yourself to do, okay? And not only that, I'm gonna give you a bonus second thing that you may be missing too, and I'm actually gonna start with that second thing because I think it's so important as you continue growing and stretching yourself into a new and more empowered identity. Let's talk about this second thing, which will be the first thing that we are covering today. In order to be successful at goal setting, you gotta have a long-term direction. Many people think of goal setting as, hey, what are your next goal for the next year? That's how I do it too. It's 1 year goal setting because after 1 year, there is so much uncertainty. You don't know, right? And there is so much we can do in 1 year. So it's better to focus on that short-term kind of direction. But in order to have clarity in your 1 year goals and to be able to follow through and have that motivation to take action on your goals, even when you fall off track, it is so important to have a long-term direction. Having a long-term direction, and when I say long-term, I'm saying 5, 10, 20 years, okay? And I do this with all my one-on-one coaching clients, and we spend several sessions just getting clear on that strategic vision of yourself. Because when we talk about goal setting, that's more or less tactical. That starts getting very granular. And in order for you to determine the things that you want to achieve within this next year, you got to have a very good idea of your direction, of your North Star, of where you're going, where you're heading towards. As you have heard probably before, direction is way more important than speed. You can go fast and end up nowhere. But if you have a clear direction of where you're heading, my friend, that's gonna take you to the right path. That's gonna make it way more intentional. So even before setting goals for the next year, it is so essential to have a strategic vision of the person that you wanna be 10, 20 years from now, of the things you wanna be doing. And when you work on this, you don't have to be super granular because there are many times that we don't even know what we'll be doing, 5 years, 10 years from now. But I want you to tap at least into the being energy. Do you want to be happy? Do you want to be fulfilled? Do you want to create an impact? Do you want to continue growing? Those are the things that we are talking about. This is the ideal version of yourself, because that ideal version of yourself is going to push the boundaries of who you think you are and the things that you're capable of doing right now. Whatever you think about yourself at any given moment, you're way more than that. And that's why it's so important to have ambitious goals that will push your identity and push the limits of what is certain to you. The best time to create is where we have uncertainty, where we don't know what's going to happen, and then an idea comes up. But if we're trying to use the past and predict our future with that information, then we don't allow that space to create. And even when I work with my digital course students and one-on-one coaching clients in creating this strategic vision, I call it also creating this compelling future, I actually ask them to start dreaming, because it's not until you start dreaming and you start tapping into that intuition, it's not until then that you can actually start creating a future that you haven't lived yet. By the way, most people are creating their future based on what they have lived on the past, based on their identity. And many times the identity is formed by your thoughts, beliefs, and actions. And those thoughts, beliefs, and actions are things that you have memorized from your past. Whenever you start creating a new future that you haven't lived before, you are breaking that habit of being yourself. I actually just finished the book from Dr. Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And I highly recommend it if you're serious about growing and about expanding the horizons of who you think you are, which I think you are, because if you're listening to this podcast is all about growing, contributing, personal development. So I would strongly recommend that book for you to even get a deeper understanding of what we are talking about right now. So that's the first thing, honestly. It is having a clear direction, and that clear direction is the one that is gonna lead and is gonna guide your short-term goals. 1 year, that's pretty short-term, right? So you gotta have that vision of 10, 20 years, at least 5 years, in order to guide whatever you want to accomplish as you move forward. Not doing this will result many times on people not following through. I remember having a coaching client, and she had this random goal of reading 1 book per month, 12 books a year. And I told her, hey, what is the why of this goal? Why do you want to do this? And she's like, I don't know, because I see a lot of people doing it. If that's your reason, there is a point whenever you experience a challenge in your life, whenever you feel that you don't have enough time, and you're gonna drop that goal immediately. But now, if your 10 years version of yourself is someone that is hungry to continue learning, is someone that is growing consistently to be able to create an impact in this society, that's a strong enough why for you to have this goal of reading 1 book a month. But don't fall into a trap of creating goals just to create them without having a strong why. And that strong why comes from that long-term direction that I'm talking about. I'm going to include the waitlist link for my digital Discover Your Purpose program digital course, because I explained this in detail there. I've launched this course twice. Students have loved it, and there is so much to learn from it. And right now it is not live yet because I haven't launched it again, but you can subscribe into the waitlist and you'll be the first one to know whenever it is live, the registration, I mean. And of course, one-on-one coaching, I have a couple of spots open for November and December. So if this is something that is really resonating with you, contact me. Like, schedule a free 30 minutes clarity call. Having your direction is more important than anything else. That's why I am so passionate about gaining clarity. So direction, that's number 1. So important. I want you to think about that whenever you're creating your goals. Right now or at the end of this year, I want you to define first, who is the person that I want to be, right? Do I want to be a happy, fulfilled, full of growth person? Okay, are these goals that I'm creating right now, how are these short-term goals aligning to my long-term direction? Because if they don't align, let me tell you, it's a distraction, not an aligned action. That's the only way where you can really understand if there is a purpose behind your short-term goals. Now, the second thing, which is really the thing that I wanted to talk in this podcast episode, once you set your 1-year goals, I want you to ask yourself a very important question. And this question is, what are you willing to sacrifice in order to achieve these goals? What are you willing to sacrifice in order to achieve these goals? When we set goals, most of the times we are pushing the boundaries of what we have done in the past, because now we have more ambitious goals. Now we want to probably accomplish something we haven't been able to accomplish in the past, meaning that this is gonna make you uncomfortable. And in order to get different results, you need to start doing things you have never done before. You need to start behaving in a way that you have never behaved before. You need to start thinking in a way that you have never thought like that before in order to get different results. That's why I recommend this book from Dr. Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Because in order to get those goals, guess what? You need to leave that old identity and you need to embrace the new you. So asking the question of what you're willing to sacrifice in order to achieve these goals is a huge enabler for whenever you're facing challenges, whenever you need to prioritize and say, nope, I'm going to stick to my goals, and whatever is coming right now is going to be pushed to the side. That is such an important thing, because if you don't ask yourself that question, you may be setting goals that you are not willing to accomplish. For example, when I set my goal of transitioning from corporate to full-time entrepreneurship, which, by the way, this is a goal I set a long time ago, okay? Like I swear, like 10 years ago, I just knew one day this was gonna happen. But as I continued walking down the path, I started gaining clarity. I made mistakes. I failed in many ways. That was not a failure. That was feedback. So I started getting all this data to make even better decisions. That's what life is about. It's an experimentation process. So when I set that goal 10 years ago, I didn't have much of an idea of what it meant to sacrifice something. But as I continued walking down the path, I realized that in order to transition from corporate to full-time entrepreneurship, I needed to sacrifice in a way that security of getting my paycheck every 2 weeks. I needed to sacrifice probably a 6-figure salary. Not that I was not going to get that salary again, but at the moment in the transition, whatever I was earning was a little bit lower, right? So all of these things that you need to think of in order to make a decision. And I want you to evaluate that as you're setting the goals. What are you willing to sacrifice in order to accomplish these goals? For me, that was the 6 figures paycheck. For me, sometimes that has been in order to build my business. Hey, I'm willing to sacrifice some social time. I'm willing to sacrifice going to a party on Friday at 8 p.m. All of these things that, honestly, if you're serious about committing to your goals, something has to give. You are doing something you have never done before. Therefore, there is something in your life that you gotta shift, that you gotta reprioritize. As you're setting the goals, ask yourself that question. And you can even use this as a journaling prompt as you finish this podcast. What are you, well, first, set the direction. Who do I want to be 10, 20 years from now? Do I want to be retired? Do I want to be doing my own business? Do I want to be in a huge corporate position as a VP? Whatever that is for you, that's what you need to determine. Not what others have told you gotta be like. I want you to start digging deeper and start peeling off those layers of what people have told you need to be. Peeling off those layers of what you have told yourself in the past you need to be. Sometimes we keep repeating that same old story, and when we take a deeper look, that's really not what we want to be. So who do you want to be? Who do you want to be at the biggest level? This is not what you want to be doing, okay? But who do you want to be? I want to be happy, for example. Okay, cool. What are your goals? What are the goals that you're going to take in the next year in order for you to move yourself into a happier position in your mind, in your environment? Like, what are those goals that you want to take? I want to be fulfilled. Okay, what are you doing in the next year in order to get you to a more fulfilled place? Are you meditating? Are you working out? Are you exploring new career opportunities? Are you exploring new ventures? Are you seeing how the short-term goals really need to tie into that long-term direction of who you want to be as a person? I want you to start dreaming, to push the boundaries of your identity and everything you have experienced. Let me tell you, the world is your canvas. And it is a blank canvas because it's there for you to create the reality that you have been dreaming of. The only limitation is always the one inside of us. The only limitation is always in our mind. So I want you to let go of those limitations. That's what I call a lot of times baggage. And I work with my clients and the digital course around those areas. But let go of those limitations and start asking yourself, okay, for example, if I cannot believe I can do what I love and earn money, start getting curious. When did you decide to believe that? Who told you to believe that? Is that something you observed? Because if you start looking at the world, there are many people who are earning a lot of money while doing what they love. So I'm here for you. I'm here to empower you, to push you through those boundaries of what you think is possible or not. And let me tell you, the one thing that you may be missing from setting your goals is asking yourself, what are you willing to sacrifice in order to accomplish those goals? And the second thing, which was the first thing I covered in this podcast episode, was asking yourself, what is my long-term direction? Because again, your short-term goals are more tactical and they need to be mapped to that strategic vision of who you want to be ideally. I hope this podcast episode was super helpful. I hope you're already thinking about setting your goals. Find also a tracking mechanism. I literally have my 1-year goals in front of me. I can just look at them. They're in front of me. I have them by month. By this month, I'm going to do this. All of them are measurable. And of course, all of them I've taken action on. And sometimes I've hit the goal and sometimes I haven't, but I've showed up and taken action. So it's totally possible for you too. Okay, if you have any questions about goal setting or anything, you can schedule a clarity call. I'm gonna include the link here in the notes. And I wish you a happy goal setting process. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening at With Clarity and Purpose. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Sharing is caring. Please share with your friends and family so we can continue building an empowered community together. I'll see you next week.